Indian politics. If Mahayuti wins Maharashtra, then the Lok Sabha results, where the BJP was below the 272 magic figure, will be seen as an aberration. The Haryana surprise victory for the BJP as a result of its well-oiled election-winning machine. And if that continues in Maharashtra, then BJP and its allies would be aggressively dominating the political discourse going ahead. And if it is otherwise, then it does give the momentum that the opposition gained soon after the Lok Sabha results, but it did face a setback after the Haryana results. The first up, the exit poll numbers. The ruling Mahayuti will win the assembly polls in Maharashtra. That's what 4 of 7 exit polls are saying. 2 are predicting a hung assembly and 1 says a victory for Mahavikas Aghadi. Remember, the majority mark in the Maharashtra Assembly is 145. Of course, the health warning here that the pollsters have often got the elections wrong. So we'll have to wait for the results on Saturday. So let's put those numbers up on our big screen here. What are the pollsters saying? The exit poll numbers. I'm going to begin with Dainik Bhaskar. It is saying that Mahayuti would be between 125 to 140. Mahavikas Aghadi ahead of Mahayuti between 135 to 150. Others 20 to 25. Of course, this is Dainik Bhaskar numbers which are coming out. Majority number 145. The local Maharashtra website, Lokshahi Marathi Rudra, is predicting an NDA and a Mahavikas Aghadi almost like a tie of sorts, 128 to 142, 125 to 140. And others 18 to 23. Let's look at the other exit poll. It's Matriz. Matriz is saying that there is a clear Mahayuti victory in Maharashtra between 150 to 170. Mahavikas Aghadi in the range of 110 to 130. Let's look at P-Mark now. Another pollster which is giving Maharashtra clearly to Mahayuti, in fact, 137 to 157. Mahavikas Aghadi between 126 to 146. So let's look at other pollsters now. Another exit poll. People's Pulse is predicting a sweep of sorts for Mahayuti between 175 to 195. Mahavikas Aghadi, below. In the range of 85 to 112. Then there is Poll Diary. Of course, the number of exit pollsters which have emerged all of a sudden predicting their own numbers. NDA, that is Mahayuti between 122 to 186. Mahavikas Aghadi in the range of 69 to 121, similar to what other exit polls are suggesting. Here is Times Now JVC, a new pollster again which has comes up. NDA between 150 to 167, Mahavikas Aghadi 107 to 125. First up, let me bring in Shaina NC now, the Shiv Sena candidate from Mumbai Devi. Shaina, how was your own election today? We'll talk about the exit polls in just a bit.
So, Maria, as you know, mine is probably one of the toughest constituencies in all of Maharashtra. We have 140,000 Muslims and 1 lakh Hindus. And despite that, the kind of love, affection, and public support I have garnered in this month is phenomenal. I'd like to thank our Honorable Chief Minister Eknath Shinde ji for giving a Ladki Behen an opportunity to stand for this election, as has the Mahayuti leadership, and our Honorable Prime Minister for his uncomparable work in the field of public service and the Labhartis that have benefited through the welfare schemes of the Prime Minister. So I want to say 2 points here that, you know, haar aur jeet to hote rehti hai, lekin jis andaz se and the kind of public support that public has given across the board, whether it's the Ladki Behnas who have benefited from the 2.5 crore compensations given by the government and 7,500 rupees in their bank account, or the infrastructure projects which have completed in Maharashtra, whether it's the Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train, the refinery, the coastal road, the metro, the Atal Setu, the list is phenomenal. So people in the cities as well as rural parts vote on the premise of who is performing. And 2.5 years, the Mahayuti government has performed brilliantly and has made sure that every aspect of people's lives are touched. And so it becomes a politics of performance. And if you perform, you will never perish. But if you just play vote bank politics, false narratives, and try to appease sections of society, I think gone are those days, Maria, because people are way too intelligent to figure who to vote for, why to vote for, and how to vote for.
And interestingly, Bombay too, or should I say Mumbai, most Mumbaikers did come out to cast their vote. You know, so the voter percentage is better than 2019. You were concerned in the afternoon. How is the, you know, Mumbaikers unfortunately carrying that tag of apathy? They have certainly said time to shed that tag.
Well, I'm very glad, but we're just waiting for the final numbers from the Election Commission to know that what has been the final polling. But having said that, I think that Mumbaikars have become extremely conscious and very aware. And they know that, you know, they don't want any confusion. They don't want people who come together for lust for power and don't even have the basic dignity to acknowledge the legacy of Hindu Hriday Samrat Adanya Balasaheb Thackeray. They don't even take the name in so many ways. So the Congress and the Ubata Sena, obviously, they're only for lust for power. So the less said, the better. But having said that, I think that's for another day. Today, the day is for Mumbaikars. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to thank everyone in Mumbai Devi for showering this kind of love and affection and accepting me as an honest face in public life, as a sevika who continues to work for the cause of the Mumbaikar across the board.
Okay, Shaina, before I let you go, because I'm sure you have to go back to doing some calculation as to how you have performed in every polling booth. So tell me, what's your assessment of the numbers which have come out? Exit polls are showing that it could be very well a mixed bag. You know, some are predicting a victory for Mahayuti. Some say that it could be a hung house.
So, Maria, you know better than me that exit polls are never exact polls. If you take Haryana as a case study, people had rubbished BJP and said not even 15, 20 votes. And look at the hat trick and the historic victory for the third time. If you look at the Lok Sabha elections, we had maybe overestimated and the numbers turned wrong. So I don't think I want to go into speculation, but I am absolutely confident it is the Mahayuti government and it will be a historic victory, again a hat trick, 3 terms in a row, and the kind of public support at every level. If you look at the youngsters, they've got internship schemes and stipends. If you look at the senior citizens, they've got pension plans. If you look at the farmers, whether it's the MSP or the Fasal Bima Yojana. If you look at the women, whether it's a Ladki Behna or it is an Ujjwala, the list is endless. And these are the vote banks we needed to focus on, and that's exactly what we've done, a developmental plan.
All right, Shaina NC there, Shiv Sena candidate for Mumbai Devi, speaking to NDTV. I'll connect with you on 23rd when the results start trickling in. Thank you so much and wishing you all the best. Let me bring in my guests now. We have Professor Sandeep Shastri and senior journalist Aditi Fadnis right here in the studio. We have Siddharth Yadav, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Sanjay Gupta, representing the Shiv Sena UBT. Krishna Hegde, spokesperson of the Shiv Sena Shinde faction. Clyde, representing the NCP SP. And we also have Tara Deshpande, actor, writer. Aditi Fadnis, beginning with you. What's your assessment, of course, of the exit polls?
Well, I would not like to comment on exit polls. You know,
that's a safe thing to say.
We are not here to comment on exit polls. We are here to comment on the politics of the states, Maharashtra and Jharkhand. In Maharashtra, I think it's true that Ladki Behna Ladki Bahin has been a game changer. There's no doubt about that. But I think another issue that is very strongly in the consciousness of people is the high levels of corruption. For anything, you have to pay and you have to get your work done only after you pay. So, I mean, I'm not only talking about ordinary people who have to get an Aadhaar card made or have to get a driver's license made. I'm talking about the European Union, the companies which are from which have been surveyed. The European Union has formed a lobbying organization, and German companies and Swedish companies both are saying that it is impossible to do business in Maharashtra. And they are actually they have shelved expansion projects in Maharashtra and are going to other states. They feel that Tamil Nadu, even Karnataka, is a better place to do business in terms of rental payments.
But Aditi, this kind of sentiment, do you think it is pan Maharashtra, or do you think it's limited to urban pockets?
No. You can't tell companies you only invest in urban pockets. So it is pan Maharashtra. If a state is good to do business in, it should be good to do business anywhere in that state.
Fine enough. Professor Shastri, you can talk about the numbers.
I'll start with an electoral insurance policy.
Absolutely, all the time.
And I think you would have noticed, even where the polls support a particular party, party representatives are much more restrained in praising the polls, even though it's backing them. I think everybody has learnt an important lesson by what has happened two times around.
But it reflects badly on how the pollsters are doing polls.
Yeah, but then coming to the issues here, I think the Maharashtra election, when the results start coming on Saturday, is likely to be a much closer race. Now, the winner may be whoever the exit polls predict. Either we have both sides being predicted, but it's a much closer race, and I think there is no doubt that the Mahayuti has recovered since the Lok Sabha elections, largely because of its welfare schemes. That I think is important. Very critical will be the direction in which the Maratha vote goes. That will make an important difference. And even if you look at the exit polls, you are noticing that the BJP, though it contests a majority of seats, the polls are not projecting the numbers for the BJP as very high. Even if the Mahayuti forms the government, there will be a substantial participation of the Shiv Sena and the NCP. So unlike earlier projection that the BJP would have a huge chunk of seats, that is also not being projected by the various exit polls.
Okay, so there is a great degree of caution you sense here.
Yes, there is not just a great degree of caution. I think Saturday we will be looking to see whether Mahayuti would have a very strong BJP presence and whether the Aghadi would have a more even distribution across the
among the three parties. Yes. So let's bring in Nana Patole now, who is the president of Maharashtra Congress, and he's also the Congress candidate from Sakoli. Is joining us. Nana Patole, thank you so much. Exit polls do not have good news for you, sir. Exit polls के नंबर आप जो देख रहे होंगे, उनके आंकड़े ये बता रहे हैं कि महायुति की क्लियर विक्ट्री हो सकती है. आप इन नंबर्स को कैसे देखते हैं?
रियलिटी जो है 170 के ऊपर महाविकास आघाड़ी की सीटें आएंगी महाराष्ट्र में, और महाविकास आघाड़ी की ही सरकार महाराष्ट्र में बनेगी.
नहीं, लेकिन चुनाव में आपने क्या देखा जो एग्जिट पोलस्टर्स जो सर्वे करने के लिए गए थे जमीन पर, उन्होंने नहीं देखा?
देखो, एकदम क्लियर है. ग्रास रूट का अभी आपको याद होगा कि अभी हमारी सब टीम हर महाराष्ट्र में हर कोने में लगी हुई है. जहां जहां वोटिंग हुआ है, कौन सा कितना वोटिंग हुआ, कौन से गांव में कौन से बूथ में हमें कितना लीड मिलेगा, कम मिलेगा, उसका रिपोर्ट हमारे पास पूरे स्टेट से आ गया है. तो उसी आधार पर हम लोग कह रहे हैं. अभी चैनलों में वो दिखाया जा रहा है तो उसको दिखाने दो. जैसे हरियाणा में हमारा दिखाया था, हम हार गए. अभी वो आगे दिखा रहे हैं तो महाराष्ट्र में हम जीते.
ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा असेसमेंट है आपका कि एग्जिट पोलस्टर्स ने दिखाया था कि हरियाणा में आप जीत रहे हैं तो भाजपा जीत गई, तो अगर वो दिखा रहे हैं तो ऑपोजिट होगा. ये तो आपको होप देने की वजह है. सही बोला आपने. लेकिन इस बार कांग्रेस सबसे कम सीटों पर चुनाव लड़ रही है अपने पूरी हिस्ट्री में महाराष्ट्र की उसमें. लेकिन आप बताएं कि विदर्भा की अगर चर्चा करते हैं तो विदर्भ में 40 सीटों पर कांग्रेस चुनाव में है और ज्यादातर सीटों में डायरेक्ट टक्कर है, सीधी टक्कर है भाजपा के साथ.
कम से कम 45 से 50 सीटें हम विदर्भ में जीतेंगे 62 में से. और एकदम क्लियर पिक्चर है विदर्भ में क्लीन स्वीप करेंगी महाविकास आघाड़ी। कांग्रेस 40 जगह लड़ रही है विदर्भ में, 35 सीटें हम लोग जीतेंगे।
नाना पटोले जी, एग्जिट पोल्स की फिर से अभी हम चर्चा करेंगे आपसे, क्योंकि आपसे आपका जवाब अहमियत रखता है, इसलिए मैं जानने की कोशिश करूंगी। अगर आप बोलेंगे कि 23 का रिजल्ट्स का इंतजार करें, तो अगर ये नंबर्स होल्ड करते हैं तो ये बात सही हो जाएगी कि जो लोकसभा का रिजल्ट था वो एबरेशन था और जो लार्जर नैरेटिव है वो अभी भी भाजपा के फेवर में है।
नहीं, अभी भाजपा के फेवर में कुछ नहीं है। भाजपा तो उस समय मोदी की नहीं चली, तो अभी ये फडणवीस की और एकनाथ शिंदे की क्या चलेंगे। महाराष्ट्र शाहू फुले अम्बेडकर विचारधारा का रहा है। छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज के प्रतिमा में भी इन लोगों ने भ्रष्टाचार किया, उनका भी अपमान किया। किसानों को आत्महत्या करने इन लोगों ने लगाया। बेरोजगारी सबसे ज्यादा महाराष्ट्र में है। महिलाओं का अपमान सबसे ज्यादा यहाँ पे हुआ है। महिला मिसिंग, जिससे 67,000 महिला मिसिंग है महाराष्ट्र में। छोटी बच्चियों पे भी अत्याचार बड़े पैमाने में महाराष्ट्र में बने। और महाराष्ट्र को गिरवी गुजरात को रखने का जो पाप ये महायुति की सरकार कर रही थी, बीजेपी और एकनाथ शिंदे की, और एकदम क्लियर है, क्लियर मेजोरिटी में महाविकास आघाड़ी आएंगी, क्योंकि जनता का विश्वास महाविकास आघाड़ी के साथ।
चलिए, आखिरी सवाल आपसे, 23 तारीख को अगर आपकी सरकार बनती है तो मुख्यमंत्री कौन होगा?
महाविकास आघाड़ी का चीफ मिनिस्टर बनेगा, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। हाईकमांड जो डिसीजन लेंगे वो सबको एक्सेप्ट रहेगा। और महाविकास आघाड़ी का 23 तारीख को 25 तारीख को महाविकास आघाड़ी का सीएम बन जाए।
आपने 25 तारीख की बात कही, तो 25 तारीख को स्वेरिंग इन होगा?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल हम करेंगे, क्योंकि 26 को इस गवर्नमेंट की जो गवर्नमेंट है इनका लास्ट डेट है, और हम 2 दिन में ये सब कर लेंगे इसको, क्योंकि उनके मन में पाप है। जो चुनाव की प्रक्रिया जिस तरह से रखी गई थी और जिस तरह से ये चुनाव लेट किया गया और एकदम उसको बॉर्डर पे लाके खड़ा किया है, तो दिल्ली में बैठी हुई मोदी की सरकार के दिमाग में क्या पाप चल रहा है वो महाराष्ट्र के हम लोगों को पता है। तो हम 25 को हम लोग गवर्नमेंट बना लें। 25 तारीख।
आपने तो यहाँ पर डेट भी दे दिया कि किस डेट पर इलेक्शन होगा, मतलब किस डेट पे ओथ होगा, इसकी भी आपने बात कर दी। तो नाना पटोले जी वहां पर मौजूद थे, who gave us a date for the swearing in case if it's Mahavikas Aghadi which wins. Let me bring in Siddharth Yadav, spokesperson of the BJP, who's joining us as well, and Sanjay Gupta. Siddharth Yadav, a very confident Nana Patoले, saying that 25th will be the swearing in ceremony of the Chief Minister of Mahavikas Aghadi.
Maria, I don't think that Nana Patoli is really confident, because the source of his confidence was that
probably exit polls are going to go wrong as they did in Haryana, and that's why we are going to win. So if that is the source of confidence and the base of confidence, then I don't really count it as a confidence. Nana Patoli ji also knows the real situation in Maharashtra. The Bharatiya Janata Party and the Mahayuti alliance is going to form a very clear mandate government, a strong government with a strong mandate, which is going to work for next 5 years for the progress of Maharashtra. Now he also knows, now he is announcing the date for swearing in ceremony. Those who were fighting for who is going to be the chief minister until the last day of polls, those who could not settle that, how can Nana Patoli ji himself tell about the...
It's not clear even at Mahayuti.
No, we are very clear. Maria, we are very clear.
You have not announced the chief minister.
No, Maria, we are very clear. We are very clear. Not announcing the chief minister is a different case, and being clear is a different case. We are very clear that we are not announcing, and all leaders of all political parties are going to sit here together to decide the chief minister. It is unlike Sanjay Raut and Uddhav Thackeray, who were giving dhamkis all the time by saying Uddhav Thackeray ko nahi announce kiya to kya hoga. That was a different situation. It was a different situation when Nana Patole said that I will not sit with Sanjay Raut. Who is Sanjay Raut? Will sit with senior leaders, and the other side was also said for Nana Patole. That is not the case in Mahayuti. We have very clearly said that all leaders of all three political alliance parties will sit together, and the parliamentary board of the Bharatiya Janata Party is going to decide on the chief ministerial phase once the Bharatiya Janata Party and Mahayuti alliance is going to form the government. It's a very clear stand.
Okay, Clyde, go ahead.
Maria, I think, the man who was speaking right now is in a 24/7 mode of, election campaigning. The elections are over now. I think we should just have a smile now because everybody's worked hard, including all the spokesperson. Krishna, I want to see Krishna smiling today, actually. He's a friend of mine. Point here is, if you're asking about there's nothing in the Mahayuti, I mean, I think this spokesperson did not read the big sort of hassle that had happened when somebody from the Eknath Shinde camp said that, I feel like vomiting when I sit next to Ajit Pawar. I think, he may be not in tune. The point here is elections are over. People have decided, whatever is going to happen is going to be declared on the 23rd. Yes, exit polls have come out. We are looking into the exit polls. There is Haryana also there. The example, there's a Maharashtra also. So I think at the end of the day, the ground reality is that, see, I was looking through all the, exit polls that you're showing, except for Matrice. Every other poll is really close. And in fact, one is showing MVA at 150. So anything can happen. I'm still saying it, Maria. This is a tight competition. I feel the Mahavikas Agadi has an edge, but these exit polls could go anywhere right now. Let's be honest about it. We've fought for the last 15 days, 20 days with each other, going through each other's throats and everything. But today, let's calm down a little and think about it. Even the exit polls are not giving 100% to the Mahayuti. So at the end of the day, people have decided, Maharashtra has decided, BJP has done a couple of blunders in the last couple of days. That is going to help us for sure. It's too bad that they did blunders for them. For us, it is a very good sign. So I think at the end of the day, let's wait for a couple of days. Throwing things at each other right now is not going to help because the people of Maharashtra have already decided.
Okay, so the people of Maharashtra have decided and they did come out to vote. It was better than 2019, Tara Deshpande and also Mumbaikars. Now they can go ahead and register all their complaints because they can say that, they exercise their right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a better turnout than it was. It's very interesting to make this comparison, but when you look at the US midterm elections, the voter turnout on an average for the country is about 46%. Their midterms are a bit like our assembly elections. So when you have a state that's voting on an average over 55, 56%, that's a really good sign. But interestingly, the US metropolitan areas tend to have a much higher voter turnout than the bigger cities in India, especially Mumbai. So while I think Mumbai has done better than previous years, I think there's scope to do much, much better. I think there's a lot of apathy amongst the upper middle classes and the wealthier classes, of many of whom who reside in Mumbai. And I think the manifestos don't generally appeal to them as much. And we've discussed this in the past years as well, but I don't think anyone's come up with anything to really get them going, and it would be good if they did. But overall, it's very pleasing to see that, like in Silod, you had over 70% voter turnout. In Gadchiroli, it's almost 70%. So it's very heartwarming to see people coming out and voting. It's been a confusing year because it's NCP versus NCP and Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena. And we talked about this in previous shows. But I think it's really wonderful to see the democratic process alive and kicking.
Okay.
Maria, can I get 10 seconds, Maria? 10 seconds?
Okay, Clive.
Request.
Yeah.
Maria, I was listening to Tara talk. I'll tell you something. I'm a bit disappointed. I think we should have had a larger turnout. I'll tell you where I come from. I'm born and brought up in South Mumbai, went to St. Xavier's College. And, when in college, my friends were saying, when we get into, the mainstream, into life, and we're going to change this, change that. And I have so many of my friends, I know, I'm sorry, they're going to, after hearing me, they're going to go for my throat. They've not voted. I'm disappointed. They call me and they say, the roads have to be like this and the potholes here and, look what is happening at Metro Junction and stuff like that. But you did not vote, my friend. I'm telling my friends from here that some of you guys didn't vote. So don't call me. I think we all need to come out, and this percentage of 52, 56 is nothing. We need to come out. 9.5 crore people, more people need to come out and vote. How are we going to, keep complaining and not vote? 54, 56% is not what things are. India is not going to change if only 54
Absolutely, Clyde. I share
really,
your thought and sentiments there. Because the Shastri has a point here.
I'd just like to make one point. I also was always very upset about the way of turnout in metros. Last time in Bangalore, when we had a low turnout, we did a study after the election. We chose 50 households bang in the center of the city. And each household had around 6 registered voters. approximately, which means 300 registered voters. But actually among those 300 registered voters, 100 were outside India or outside Karnataka, which means their names were on the polling, on the voters list, but they were not going to vote. And because Karnataka also had that time one-day voting for the entire city, people preferred to go back to their villages and vote. Those who lived in Bangalore but had a base in the village went back to the village and voted, and I will not be surprised if the same thing has happened in Maharashtra, in Mumbai also.
So that's a positive trend.
What I'm saying is the numbers which ultimately come out may not be really a number of those living in Mumbai. They are registered voters in Mumbai, but may not be a reflection of those living in Mumbai.
But that said, I think we need to emphasize that there is no empirical basis for the connection between the turnout and the winning party.
Yes.
We can never say...
The jury is still out on that.
There's no authoritative study which says that a higher turnout helps X party or a lower turnout helps Y party. There's no such...
Absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out, Aditi. Krishna Hegde and Sanjay Gupta, both of them have been extremely patient listening to this entire conversation. Go ahead, Krishna Hegde. Of course, it's an important battle. The sense is among the voters that Mr. Eknath Shinde is a man who has delivered. But the question is that will that be enough in all pockets across Maharashtra to ensure his comeback?
Yes, Maria, you're right. Eknath Shinde has delivered, and how. And especially after the Lok Sabha election, where there was a false narrative about Samvidhan badla jayega, Samvidhan khatre mein hai, Samvidhan ko dhoka hai. You saw that, the Mahayuti was at full force doing its 2020 batting and batting to win, which I think most of your exit polls are also showing. But I must also say that here, a lot of independents, especially since 1995, they had 45 independents in the Vidhan Sabha, and over the years 30 and 25. And in 2019, there were around 13 independents in the Vidhan Sabha. Over that, we have smaller parties like Samajwadi, Peasants Workers Party, Jan Sarojya Party, Bachchu Kadu's Party, Bahujan Vikas Agadi, Samajwadi Party, who have, small numbers of 1, 2, 3 MLAs each. And therefore, I think a collective, assessment of all these MLAs also from smaller parties will be very important. But however, I am very confident, like your survey, that we'll have a landslide victory. Most of your...
A word on that, Krishna Hegde. NDTV hasn't done any survey, and we are just putting out the numbers of exit polls.
Whoever has done the survey, out of most of the surveys, I think we are leading in most of the surveys, and we are going to have the Mahayuti government. And like someone said, Nana Patole said, the CM will be sworn on 25th, and I'm sure
25th.
the CM
In fact, he gave a date for the swearing in as well.
And I am also sure the CM will be sworn in on 25th, but it will be our CM from the Mahayuti.
So you have also decided the swearing in date. What about
No, I have not
Sanjay
decided,
Gupta?
but I am just countering
Who will
Nana
be sworn in
Patole
then
for
on
what he
25th?
said.
And what is that
will
date
decide
that has
between
been floated now, 25th? I mean, it must be...
See, 26th is the last date anyway for the assembly to be, for the swearing in. So we'll have to do it on 25th in any case. But between the Bharatiya Janata Party Parliamentary Board, the top leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the top leadership of the Mahayuti. And we've always had a consensus before the election also, and no dispute between all the three partners. Unlike what was happening in the Mahavikas Agadi, where they were not looking eye to eye or face to face. I think therefore we are very confident.
Sanjay Gupta.
It's going to be our
Sanjay
government.
Gupta, it's very critical, this election, for the two Shiv Senas. Because, once and for all, that debate will be settled as to who is the legatee of Balasaheb Thackeray. Whether it will be a Thackeray or somebody who has risen in the ranks in the party who will carry forward the torch.
गंभीर सवाल है आपका ये, और मगर मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति में जिस तरह के चेंजेस मैंने देखे पिछले 5 सालों में, मैं तो सक्रिय राजनीति में 2019 में कदम रखा था, जिस वक्त मेरे को ठाकरे परिवार ने स्पोक्स पर्सन का पत्र दिया और राजनीति के लिए कहा। तो उसके बाद जिस तरह से हमने राजनीति शुरू की, तो बीजेपी के स्पोक्स पर्सन और हम एक साथ ही एक स्वर में बोलते थे, मगर फिर हमने देखा कि किस तरह से मुख्यमंत्री के ऊपर पेच फंसा और किस तरह से फिर बीजेपी के साथ हमारा गठबंधन टूटा और उसके बाद फिर हमारे गुट से सिर्फ शिंदे गुट किस तरह से अलग हुआ। तो मैंने तो महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति में पिछले 5 सालों में जिस तरह के चेंजेस देखे तो मैं तो उससे बड़ा हैरान और परेशान रहा कि ये महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति में हो क्या रहा है। तो अब इन 5 सालों में जिस तरह के भी चेंजेस महाराष्ट्र की राजनीति में हुए, अब एक तरफ तो उद्धव जी हैं जिनको बाला साहब ने अपना उत्तराधिकारी बनाया, एक तरफ शिंदे जी हैं जो ये कहते हैं कि हम उत्तराधिकारी हैं। मगर मुझे लगता है कि इस बात का सही फैसला तो महाराष्ट्र की जनता ही करेगी और वो मेरे ख्याल से अब जो पोलिंग हुई है उसका मतदान का जो भी रिजल्ट 23 तारीख को आएगा उसी से इस बात को फाइनल किया जाएगा कि कौन असली उत्तराधिकारी है और कौन नहीं है, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी तो लोकतंत्र में जनता ही होती है। मगर मैं किसको अपना कहूं किसको बेगाना कहूं, कौन अपना है कौन नहीं है, मैं इस बात में, क्योंकि जिस तरह की परिस्थिति आज है,
चलिए ये बहुत बड़ा आपने एक्सेप्टेंस किया है कि कौन अपना है कौन बेगाना है। क्या पता जो realignment will happen post results on 23rd. So the churn in Maharashtra politics which has been happening for the last few years will continue.
जिस तरह से मतलब मेरे को बोलना अभी मेरे को कह रही हैं आप?
जी बोलिए सुनील गुप्ता जी।
संजय गुप्ता आप तो आपके साथ तो मैं 5 साल से डिबेट कर रहा हूँ।
जी संजय गुप्ता जी सॉरी बोलिए।
तो देखिए राजनीति के अंदर सबसे अहम होती है विचारधारा और विचारधारा पे हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी चलती है। जिस तरह से मैं कह सकता हूँ कि हवा दिखाई नहीं देती मगर जीवन उसी से होता है, जिस तरह से नींव दिखाई नहीं देती मगर इमारत उसी पे खड़ी होती है।
In fact, Eknath Shinde, the chief minister, had told me during the course of that interview that there is a wave for Mahayuti and his party. Let's bring in Milind Deora now, who is joining us. He's the candidate from Worli Assembly constituency, also a Rajya Sabha MP of the Shiv Sena. Milind, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. 4 of the 7 pollsters are giving an edge to Mahayuti. There is also a prediction of a hung house. As someone who was on the ground and of course campaigning and contesting, what's your own assessment?
My assessment was it was a tough fight, no doubt about it. There was, we were starting from a low base given what happened during the Lok Sabha elections. But I think that the alliance left no stone unturned to fix the problem, to ensure that every aspect, every box is ticked, to ensure that the schemes that were launched, whether it's the infrastructure projects that were completed before the Vidhan Sabha elections, to counter fake narratives that were spread during the Lok Sabha elections. The NDA did everything they could unitedly to sort of ensure that the public will give us a hat trick.
Okay, the overall voter percentage is also better than 2019. Of course, Professor Sandeep Shastri has a different assessment here of how the numbers have gone up in Mumbai. We would be waiting for the final voter turnout, which will be coming in a couple of hours. Many would say that slightly higher voter turnout could be voters voting for change. Of course, there is no empirical evidence to suggest so. Is this an endorsement for the incumbent? What's your assessment?
I don't, honestly, these are all, these things don't matter. These are things which exit pollsters love to debate endlessly. I personally believe that these exit poll numbers, is a higher turnout better, lower turnout better? Does this mean a higher turnout? Does it mean that it's in favor or against? None of this matters. I think that there was a very good campaign. We learned from the mistakes of May, June 2024, corrected them, did our best, did the best that we could. I would say left no stone unturned. And I'm confident that given the schemes, given the infrastructure projects, given the way Maharashtra has moved forward in the last few months and years, the voters will give us a resounding victory.
Okay, in fact, I've just been corrected by a colleague of mine who says that Maharashtra overall voter turnout is 3% less than 2019. 2019 was 61.4%. This time it is 58.4%. So Milind, I stand corrected on that. But talking about the numbers that Mahayuti is expecting, Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, when he spoke to me in that interview, he had said that he is expecting a thumping majority. Any number above 145 will be seen as victory for Mahayuti.
Again, I don't get into numbers, but was there confidence? Is there confidence? Yes, there is confidence. His popularity, the narrative that the fake narrative that we busted, there is popularity, there is confidence. And we ran the election not based on overconfidence, but based on local issues, micromanage the election on statewide issues in a city like Mumbai, on Mumbai issues, on constituency issues. So as I said, I'm confident we'll make it.
Will it be a pro-incumbent verdict then when you say we'll make it?
Yes, it's like Haryana. It's like where the Haryana government made history and won a hat-trick. It's a pro-incumbency verdict.
Okay, let's talk about the overall functioning of Mahayuti, the way Mahayuti fought this election. Of course, there was no formal announcement of the chief ministerial phase, but Eknath Shinde was clearly leading the campaign. So do you think there was complete coherence between the three political parties? Of course, they managed to sort out the initial hiccups, which was with regards to ticket distribution.
Yes, there was 100%. There was between four parties, really. There was very good coordination, planning. Frankly, being a candidate myself, I've been a candidate where there are two parties. I've never been two major parties. I've never been a candidate in an alliance where there are three major parties. And I was a little apprehensive, but very good coordination, very smooth planning, very smooth execution. So, impressive.
Okay, my last question to you. Let's talk about the Worli constituency and your own battle against Aditya Thackeray. Mumbai turnout has been 1% better than last time.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, there were people excited about it, and we also went to the people and said that, look, when you vote for a Lok Sabha election, you're really voting on national issues, on what kind of government you want in the center. When you voting for a Vidhan Sabha election, you're electing a chief minister, you're determining the future on local issues, law and order, development, the economy of the state, city, rural issues, urban infrastructure. And I think that got people excited to come out and vote, because people saw that there's hope in this government. This government takes decisions quickly. This government gives people justice very quickly. So in that sense, locally in Worli, I encountered a lot of anti-incumbency against Aditya, and which I found very, very surprising, because when he came in, he had all the potential to bring about positive changes. He had a government where he was a part of, which he was a part of for 2.5 years. The people of Worli, in fact, have given the concentration of power of his party in Worli is the highest it is in any constituency, assembly constituency in Maharashtra. Just for your information, there is one Lok Sabha MP from Worli. There are 3 MLAs his party has in Worli. There are 3 former mayors of Mumbai that his party has in Worli. There are 3 other corporators. So there is a massive concentration of wealth. His father was chief minister. He was a minister in his father's government. So the expectations of the people of Worli were very, very, very high. And what I encountered everywhere was that he failed to deliver on those expectations. So we ran a campaign, a constructive campaign, and ultimately what makes me happy is that there was no mudslinging on a personal level. This was a campaign based on issues, a campaign based on a constructive effort, and I'm very proud of when that happens.
All right, Milind, I appreciate your time. Let me give the final word to my studio guests here, Sandeep Shastri. We have the numbers more or less. It's 3% less overall Maharashtra, less than last time. Of course, we can't make much assessment.
Those are the tentative figures. Yes. We would need to wait for the Election Commission to ultimately release the figures, and past experience shows it goes up by a few percent in the final numbers. Okay. So you are likely to have it more close to the last year's figures.
So what will you be watching out for on 23rd?
What I will be watching out for on 23rd is within the Mahayuti, how well does the BJP do? And within the Aghadi, it would depend on all the 3 major players and which is the strong link or weak link in both the alliances, I think that will be critical in deciding and defining who crosses the majority mark. And in Maharashtra, I'll also be looking out for the number of independents. Even in the exit polls, those who have been conservative in their numbers have given a large number of seats for the independents. So how many independents emerge, I think, will be an important factor in Maharashtra.
The rebel factor.
Yeah. And in Jharkhand, I think the question is the JMM able to hold on to the tribal vote? And does the BJP hold on to the non-tribal vote? And how much are each of these alliances able to make inroads into the pockets of the one ranged against it?
Ma'am? 23rd,
For me,
what will you be watching out for?
For me, in Maharashtra, what happens to Sharad Pawar's party? What is his strike rate? How many of its people win? I think that is crucial because it's make or break for that party. Similarly, for Uddhav Thackeray, and I'll be watching Worli very closely.
Aditya.
I will be watching Baramati very closely.
Yes.
And, 8 other seats which are very, very close contests. I will also be watching Ratnagiri very closely because Konkan is an area where we haven't really heard much about. It's a small area, but still it is, I think, quite important.
Okay. So we are slipping into a short break now. Joining me would be someone who's taking on Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Kedar Dige, will be joining on NDTV shortly.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
तालियों के साथ हम स्वागत करेंगे आदरणीय मोदी जी का।
छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की।
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
The last elections of 2024. It's the battle for India's economic heart. An election that will decide Maharashtra's future.
Can the big brother BJP manage the competing ambitions of Mahayuti? Can the Red Book rally the voters once again for Congress and its allies? So as Maharashtra's future trajectory takes shape, we report from the ground.
Two visions, two ideology, one verdict. An election where no caste chemistry can yield a perfect formula.
It's a state that is splintered with power battles. The big question.
And joining me now is Kedar Dige. He is a Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray candidate from Thane's Kopri Panch Pakhadi Assembly constituency. That's the constituency from where Chief Minister Eknath Shinde is contesting. Kedar, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. The exit polls are suggesting that it could very well be a Mahayuti government on 23rd. Your first reactions as someone who's taking on the Chief Minister?
I would say that let's wait till the results are declared. Because the thing is, even in Lok Sabha, at that point of time, it was said that they'll be having a clear sweep of 400 plus seats. but it never happened. So I think that it's better to wait and watch what the public has given, in the right way, and then we can discuss on it.
Absolutely. We'll be waiting for the results on 23rd. But let's talk about your own election. How did it go today?
Best part was I was able to walk down to the street to meet each and every. My campaign was like a door-to-door campaign. I was walking 22 kilometers per day, right from morning 10 till late night 10, and the campaigning was going good. Because the thing is, the people in Thane, they have experienced the political, the time of Jige, and I think that. My uncle late Anand Jige had spent his entire life within the public. So the decision was as such that instead of going for a Ratha Yatra, it was better to go door-to-door campaign and understand what the problems they are facing for past 15-20 years. And if you really, whenever NDTV team would be having a time, they could just go through this constituency and see whether the actual development has happened or not. Because only false dreams, false promises have been made. Just by expanding the roads and beautification of road doesn't make a statement of development. So there are enough problems what the people are facing, and I think that we can get a solution to it once we are in power.
Okay, what about the fact that this is being seen as just not a battle for one state, but a battle which will decide the course of Indian politics?
Winning, losing is one part of the story. What I think, or where I come from, is the idea that I should be having an interaction with the people directly. Today, there is an awareness stating that the people, whatever they have got, the false dreams of past 15 years, now they are realizing that our 15 years have been spent, by doing nothing. It's better we don't wash away our future. So, the idea is to meet them, understand their problems, get a solution to it, and if we are in power 100%, whatever the change they have never experienced in their entire life, they would be seeing in the upcoming 5 years.
Okay, my last question to you, of course, I'll be speaking to you again on 23rd, but before that, Thane is seen as the bastion of the Shiv Sena. So, the road ahead for Uddhav Thackeray could be very, very tough if he loses. And if exit polls, if we go with the exit polls, it could very well be not good news. Do you think then the legacy battle will be settled in favor of Eknath Shinde?
See, the legacy, if someone is saying that by just winning one election is like a legacy, I don't think so. The reason being, every person, every party worker who has worked with Jige Sir, whether it was from Shiva Sena or from any other party, or any Thanekar, if you see any citizen of Thane, who has worked with Jige Sir, who had been spending his n number of years with Jige Sir, who understands the social work what he used to do. So I believe that whoever is following his footsteps, he is really the legal heir. And secondly, I did not create a picture, or I did not come out with Dharmavir 1 and Dharmavir 2 to establish my relations. So my relations were very personal, nothing into political. So my understanding is very clear on the ground that if I need to carry forward this particular type of social work and the political thing what Jige Sir has taught us, so I need to work for the people.
All right, Kedar, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. I'll connect with you again on 23rd. Thank you so much. Let me bring in Aditi and Professor Sandeep Shastri. Aditi, we are emphasizing on a lot of battles, and we are saying that this could be settling legacy debate. Do legacy debates get settled in the matter of 2 elections? He had a point to make there.
Yeah, certainly. And I think what he said was very sensible and, very clear. But actually what this election has done is it has upended the social base of many political parties. One Shiv Sena versus the other Shiv Sena, both doing the same thing to get to the seat where they want to be. One NCP versus the other NCP, no material difference between what they actually think, but the same thing. So the social base of the Shiv Sena, which was seen as a Mumbaikars, Maharashtra for Maratha, for Maharashtrians kind of a party, formed to deliver the benefits of the state to ordinary citizens through arbitrage. I think that role is no longer required anymore in the Indian system. So you have to reinvent yourself. You have to find new social bases. You have to find new areas where you can expand. Some part of that was clear from Aditya Thackeray's expansion in universities. We did not see that happening to the Shiv Sena before. But that is an experiment in the making. So while legacy is important, you also have to constantly reinvent the legacy.
But then, you know, the question then is that what happens to regional players? Because Maharashtra will now be dominated by the two national players. Isn't that a matter of concern? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what next for NCP and the Shiv Sena in these.
To add to the point that Aditi ji made, legacy battles are one thing, but carrying on the ideological premise and the key recognition points of a political party is another. I would be one of those who believe that in the NCP, that was more or less settled in the Lok Sabha election given the performance of the Ajit Pawar faction.
Yes.
But that has not been settled in the Shiv Sena.
That's right.
Because both the Shinde faction and the Uddhav faction did very well.
Yes.
And this election is going to settle that particular question. And that question settlement is not about legacy, not about dynasty, but who do the supporters of the party see as representing what they believe that that party stood for. My final point, you look at the Anna DMK, when MGR passed away, the legacy went to his wife, but at the end of the day, it was Jayalalitha who represented the All India Anna DMK.
So it doesn't get settled in the People's Court then?
Yeah. No, this got settled in the People's Court.
That one?
Yeah.
But what about this one?
This also ultimately gets, I think ultimate is the People's Court. Ultimate is what the people decide. Now, the formal machinery has already decided who is the inheritor of the legacy with the symbol going to that party. But it is this People's Court which is going to decide who is the
Shiv
true
Sena
inheritor.
workers and the voters will decide that.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Workers and voters,
Yes.
because organization is a very important part of a political party.
And Shiv Sena has those organizational nuts and bolts.
Identification with the organization, whether the new Shiv Sena, which aspires to be the original, not original Shiv Sena, whether it is able to make that correlation between organization and people and represent itself as the real Shiv Sena, which will do both arbitrage in terms of connecting the benefits of bringing home to you the Mumbai Metropolitan Corporation's largesse, or making sure that you get the Ladki Bahin scheme funds in your bank account. It's the same role, but the people have to identify with that role. And at the moment, it seems from what people are saying that voters are identifying more with Eknath Shinde than with...
I did sense that on ground. That was palpable. I mean, the anger which was there, say, few months ago was no longer visible, and Eknath Shinde is a very, very popular man, particularly among the Shiv Sainiks.
So the idea of division, the idea of betrayal, the idea of... That idea apparently has taken a back seat.
Yes.
But 23rd will prove that.
Yes, so let's wait for the results on 23rd. Of course, these exit polls are not the real picture. As we have been saying, they have got multiple elections wrong. So the final results on 23rd, and this is your election news destination. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Shastri, Aditi Fadnis, and all the panelists who took time out for us. Thanks so much for watching. Vishnu Shom joins you next.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
have been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always bustling. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए.
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. The political saga in Maharashtra and Jharkhand has reached its climax with the conclusion of voting today. Jharkhand saw a robust 67.59% turnout, Maharashtra 58.2%. These elections have had everyone on the edge of their seats. An average of the exit polls in Maharashtra indicates that the Mahayuti appears to be ahead. Exit polls predict the Mahayuti in Maharashtra, while in the case of Jharkhand, it appears to be a neck-and-neck fight with the NDA marginally ahead. Now, exit polls, as we know, have a fairly dubious track record in this country in terms of accuracy. The last exit polls in Haryana, which projected a Congress victory, were grossly incorrect, and in the last general elections, the performance of the opposition was significantly better than what was predicted. Still, there are some who say that exit polls do have some value, so we'll defer to them and bring you, as usual, a poll of polls. Remember, we don't do any ourselves. We will also do a deep dive into the political dynamics which are in play in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. Election results will be out this Saturday. But for now, let's take a quick look at the headlines at this hour. Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, has met the Chinese defense minister. It's an important meeting where Rajnath Singh has said that it's important to reflect on the lessons of 2020 to ensure that there is no more violence along the line of actual control. And the legendary tennis star Rafael Nadal, perhaps the greatest tennis star of all time, is retired. He says he's closed my circle and he's ended his career. In Tamil Nadu's Krishnagiri district, a lawyer was attacked by a man with a sickle in the middle of the road with hundreds watching him slash his head with the weapon. The victim was rushed to hospital. Well, I suppose everybody wants to know what exactly the exit polls are saying, so let's not wait anymore and go straight to what the individual exit polls are saying. Remember, as I mentioned, we don't do these ourselves, but this is what the others are saying. By and large, it's the NDA, the Mahayuti, which has an edge in Maharashtra. The magic mark is 145. There are 288 seats. And if you go through this, then it's just a few who are giving the MVA a bit of an edge. The Dainik Bhaskar, 135 to 150, is giving the MVA, the Mahavikas Aghadi, an edge. But generally speaking, and also electoral edge is giving them a bit of an edge. But generally speaking, it's the other way around. It's the NDA which is doing well. And you can see that over here. People's Pulse, second over here, 175 to 195. The poll diary goes up to 186. The Times Now JVC poll goes up between 150 to 167 for the NDA. And PMark says 137 to 157. So as you can see, by and large, and there are a couple of outliers over here in terms of these polls, by and large, all of these are indicating that it is the Mahayuti which is going to be ahead. Let's have one more page of these exit polls which have come out. Everybody is getting up onto these exit polls. Let's just move on now and take a look at what the situation in Jharkhand is. But this is one final sort of look at what everybody. Matriz is saying 150 to 170 for the NDA. Let's move on now to Jharkhand, give you an idea of what's happening over there. And I can tell you right up off the top that it is a lot closer this time around. Axis My India has the India alliance up between 49 and 59. Remember, the magic mark they're seeking is 41. So with 49 to 59, they'd be winning these elections. Dainik Bhaskar says it's much closer, 36 to 39 in favor of the India alliance. Electoral Edge says that they've just about squeaked through to a majority, has the India alliance. whereas if you take a look at Matri's, it's 42 to 47 in favor of the NDA. P-Mark says 31 to 40 for the NDA. The India Alliance 37 to 47. People's Pulse quite clearly going the other way. So it's all over the place, and that's been the case as we've seen. So who's right and who's wrong, we're going to know on Saturday. So just wait for all of that. We'll be joined now with Neeta Chaudhary in the studio, Liz Matthew with us as well, but we've got Sanjay Kumar who joins us, and Tuhin Sinha, the national spokesperson of the BJP. So let me go across to Tuhin Sinha first. Hi Tuhin, so the big question I suppose for you would be, do you accept what you're seeing in Maharashtra? Because it is a little bit all over the place. By and large, it appears that the exit polls are indicating that the Mahayuti is ahead. Are you confident that you're going to be winning these elections?
Well, good evening, Vishnu. Good evening, everybody. You know, because the exit polls had gone wrong on last two occasions, I think by default, almost all the exit pollsters tend to play extra safe, and they kind of hammer in the point that it's a close election. But as far as our estimates are concerned, in both the places in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, it's going to be a comfortable win. And I will tell you the reasons. In Maharashtra, we had a very layered campaign. You know, while we focused on social welfare schemes, Ladki Behan Yojana, Ladka Bhai Yojana, we spoke about ideological issues, Ek Hai To Safe Hai. We spoke about $1 trillion economy target, which we have given for Maharashtra. We spoke about the Mumbai infrastructure transformation. Towards the end of the election campaign, especially the last 10 days or so, the Mahavikas Agadi was only and only obsessed with Muslim reservation, the ulema support, the All India Personal Muslim Law Board support. So, you know, they had a very myopic point of view. And I think the difference only expanded in the last 10 days or so. As far as Jharkhand is concerned, again, because in the last 24 years, you have not had a majority government or a significant majority government, and it's a strange thing that in the last 24 years, none of the parties has even won 45 out of 81 seats. But this time is going to be different because I have been on ground. The level of anti-incumbency, the level of angst against a non-performing, corrupt and a compromised state government is unprecedented. You know, and the issue of Santhal Pargana, the issue of illegal migration, mind you, is not confined to the Santhal Pargana area only. It ricochets, it echoes in the Kolhan region in South Jharkhand. It echoes in the heart of Ranchi.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. You're basically saying you're confident the BJP will be doing well and your alliance, the NDA, will be doing well in both Maharashtra and Jharkhand.
Absolutely.
All right, hold on. Let's go across to
I'm
Sanjay
sticking
Kumar.
my neck out. Yeah,
No, now, my friend Tuhin, you would always say that you're putting your neck out because that is what you have to do, defend your party at any cost, right? So there's no surprise over there in your saying
that. In the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the exit pollsters did that.
All right, okay. Sanjay Kumar, you've had a look at these numbers and they are as confusing as ever. They're all over the place. What a lot of people tend to do is, I find every single time the margin seems to be going up and up. So everybody tries to say that, oh, you know, I had a lower margin and an upper margin as well. But by and large, do you agree with this? Do you have any views on these exit polls? First in Maharashtra.
No, you have already mentioned, Vishnu, that it's all over. In a sense, some polls are indicating a victory for Maharashtra Vikas Agadi and some polls are indicating a victory for Mahayuti in Maharashtra. And same is the case for Jharkhand. Some polls are indicating it could be a BJP government, NDA government, and some polls are indicating it could be Congress, JMM, Gathbandhan alliance. So the difficulty is, when you say the question, do you agree with this poll? Which poll do I agree with? Very difficult. Yes, many polls are indicating that there is in the range which suggests that it is a tight election. My own sense is that yes, it is a tight election in both the states, but tight to what extent? I think the better reading of all these polls would be at least to look at the vote share estimate. And if I get a sense of what is happening on the ground in both Jharkhand and Maharashtra, I get a sense that yes, in both the states, the difference between the winner and the runner is going to be in the range of 3 to 4%, which can convert in terms of seats very, very differently. But my own sense is that, okay, look at Maharashtra first. In my opinion, in Maharashtra, Mahayuti seems to have a slight edge over Maharashtra, Mahavikas Aghadi. And in Jharkhand,
The
I
India
think
Alliance.
it is the NDA which has a slight edge over
okay.
the JMM alliance. But these are provisional figures from the studies which we are doing. The final Maharashtra has gone to poll today, and 38 constituencies of Jharkhand has gone to poll today. We would be doing our post-poll data collection as we normally do the day after polling takes place.
Okay.
So that's my sense. That's my understanding about what's happening on the ground.
All right. That's interesting, Sanjay. So you're saying that the NDA has a small edge in both cases, Jharkhand and in Maharashtra. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Deepak Kesarkar, Cabinet Minister in Maharashtra. He's with the Shinde Sena, the Shiv Sena. He joins us now. He's a candidate from Sawantwadi. Thank you, Mr. Kesarkar, very much for being with us. Do you believe that you're going to be comfortably ahead? You've had a look at these exit polls now. They're all over the place, and that's problematic. But do you believe you're going to win these elections?
I have fought the election as a MLA as well, and I could sense the people's feelings, and will be through comfortably. That is what I feel.
You know, this is a battle of identity at so many levels, Mr. Kesarkar, in these elections. It's Sena versus Sena, it's NCP versus NCP. If you look at the parties which contested last time around and this time around, the alliances that they were with, it's all different. At one level, it's quite confusing for voters. People would want to know who is the real Shiv Sena, who is the real NCP. Do you believe that this election is a referendum on that?
What I feel is that last Lok Sabha election, we had a clear mandate about Shiv Sena, because we have fought for 13 constituencies against each other. We won 7 and Sena won 6. But the major share of their votes had come from minorities, and that is the voter which were votes for Congress and not Shiv Sena. So the original Shiv Sena votes have come to us, and they could win only because that those minority votes were with them. You can reconfirm this.
No, so that is your analysis. No, my question, and that's a fair analysis, but my question to you, Mr. Kesarkar, is do you believe that for the voter, right, who may not have access to that sort of analysis as you are putting out today, it's actually going to be about who they see as the real Sena, right? And who they see as the real NCP. Do you believe that that is perhaps what this election is all about? Or do you believe there are other issues? What is this not the major issue, the identity of the foremost political parties in Maharashtra?
This question arises because the ideology of Shiv Sena was at stake.
Mr. Kesarkar, that line with you is a little bad. We'll come back to you in just a little while. Go ahead, Mr. Kesarkar. Yeah, go ahead. No. We'll fix that in a while. Let me come back. Let me ask that question to Nija. Is this a battle? Is this a referendum of the Sena and of the Senas and the NCPs?
Look, I think it will decide whether Uddhav Thackeray represents the Sena, or it's Eknath Shinde, or whether it's Sharad Pawar or Ajit Pawar. That, of course, the numbers will tell us that story. I think, but if there is one word that describes this election, according to me, Vishnu, it is women. Women are the central factor that have emerged as a vote bank, possibly maybe the decisive factor in both these states.
Jharkhand, it's been incredible. I'm not going to jump to Jharkhand right now, but carry on with your point.
But, you know, if you look at Maharashtra, there was a very clear Maratha Muslim Dalit equation. That was a winning one in the Lok Sabha elections, which gave the MVA 30 out of 48 Lok Sabha seats. Now that advantage should have continued. in an assembly election, because that was a national election. Mr. Narendra Modi was bidding for prime ministership, and there were national issues. Still, this local alliance managed to get that kind of numbers. Now, the Mahayuti has done course correction, has been catching up, and if there's one factor at the risk of oversimplification, it is Ladki Behan Yojana, which has given 7,500 rupees in the hands of women. And Vishnu, I traveled through Marathwada and Mumbai, and I did not meet a single woman, not a single woman who would not receive that money.
So
and they're so excited. Dalits, OBC, Maratha women, they're so excited, and they're putting it to use to augment their income. Some is getting a sari from Surat, somebody is getting a cart to sell vegetables, somebody, so
this is the model that's worked. We've seen it in Madhya Pradesh.
That's right.
Where there was incredibly speedy implementation. It translated into very strong votes for the BJP as well. But
and it wasn't, spent on drink.
No, it wasn't.
Liquor. It was put to use, and therefore a feeling of empowerment amongst the women. Now, if there is a countervailing force, despite anti-incumbency, despite charges of corruption, a large number of people who talk about it, prices rising and so on, if there is a countervailing force which has helped beat back incumbency, what the outcome will be, I don't know.
I just want to talk a little bit more about, cash and promises, as it were. Both the Mahayuti and the Mahavikas Aghadi have promised women various schemes. They've got schemes of their own, and that's wonderful at a level for the reasons which Nija said. But Maharashtra is a state which at one level is in financial distress, and this comparative business of offering doles at one level for votes, because ultimately that's what it's about, comes at a great literal cost, right? And somebody's going to have to foot that bill. Is that a problem?
Of course, if you talk to the leaders, the chief ministers and even the cabinet ministers, they would definitely tell you how this is a big issue. If you look at every state, like for example, Karnataka to Telangana to Maharashtra to even Himachal Pradesh, we can see that a smaller state, the kind of financial burden it is there. But this has become a trend, and nobody can actually. The BJP Prime Minister has, called against it. The parties against it. He has called it's like it's not the way. But he said that his party wouldn't go for any waivers. But even then, the party, like immediately after his speech in Jharkhand, the BJP had to offer the similar SOPs in Himachal. So, there were suggestions from the chief ministers, even the opposition ruled chief ministers, that there has to be, the election commission had proposed that there has to be every state party, in every state the parties, when they come with this kind of welfare schemes and the poll soaps, they will have to keep in mind the financial status of the state and see like how much you can offer or how much you can spare for this, after the salaries and the pensions and the state's debts, paying, what kind of percentage you can offer for welfare schemes. But the parties have been, including the BJP, like in Chhattisgarh, if you say they have won with this SOPs for women, the cash SOP for women. Madhya Pradesh, of course, Shivraj Singh Chauhan was like very popular. Like I remember asking people, so if Mama ji de rahe to unko hi vote dena hai.
Right.
So this was, people would definitely, women, because we know the situation, the families, like Nirja mentioned, the alcoholism and other, the women don't get to spend money. So when the women get like, even if it is 1,500 rupees, they are very happy.
It's genuine empowerment, and empowerment not just for the women but for the family. Let me go back to Sanjay for a moment. Sanjay, given the ongoing demand for Maratha reservation, how will any party address this critical issue without, for example, alienating other communities? Or does one not think of that or think that far ahead in the heat of an election campaign?
No, I think, Vishnu, you have picked up one example, but there could be several examples of that kind.
Yes.
The kind of promises parties are making in their manifesto, what we call freebies. I'm not sure whether parties have ever thought carefully that a state which is running into red when it comes to finances, if they come to power, how they are going to manage these promises? If they manage to give the promises, how they are going to manage the finances of the state? So you're right, Vishnu. When parties are saying if they come to power, they are going to make sure that Marathas get reservation. But then it would require a lot of effort. Like if first you will definitely annoy other communities whose benefits of reservation would be curtailed. If you're not going to do that, then you have to get into this whole business of, because there is a ceiling of 50%, you can't go beyond the 50% reservation bar. So a lot of effort has to be done by the party which comes to power in order to fulfill all the promises, including the one which you have mentioned, giving reservation benefits to the Marathas. It's not going to be an easy task for any political party or any alliance which comes to power.
Mahesh Tapase, Chief Spokesperson of the NCP Sharad Pawar group, joins us. Thank you, Mahesh, very much for being with us. Do you accept by and large, what these exit polls are saying? I presume you'll say no, because they're a bit all over the place. I mean, what are your thoughts on what is being projected? It seems to be the NDA.
I appreciate the effort taken by all the people who make the exit poll. They go and interview the viewers, interview the voters. But if you see in Lok Sabha election also, we saw, exit poll which said that 400 par. We saw the stock market skyrocketing, and then on the day of election, the stock market plummeted, 31 lakh crores wiped off. Modi ji could not cross 250 seats in the country. So with all due respect to the people, sometimes it may work, sometimes it may fail. But as of now, if you ask me what is the ground reality in Maharashtra, we have extensively canvassed for our candidates. Our leader Sharad Pawar ji, Supriya ji, Jayant Patil ji, and so many Congress President Rahul ji, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray ji, Aditya, everybody has reached the last voter, exposed the wrongdoings of the current incumbent, and we are very certain that on 26th November, our Chief Minister will take oath, our government will take oath, and we will get Maharashtra back on track.
Mahesh, one of the key issues, and the obvious question to ask you is about the Pawar versus Pawar, the NCP versus the NCP, or the family feud, as it were, that's taking place, and that applies to the Shiv Sena as well. But let me ask you instead about agrarian distress, because with the backdrop of a low procurement price for soybean and cotton, which has really been a key issue this time around, has any party done enough in terms of guarantees to suggest that they have a genuine solution to this issue?
BJP is not looked upon as an agrarian party. It's looked upon like more of a urban political party. And with Eknath Shinde ji being in the MMR region himself, so they are not looked upon as a party which will look at the agrarian crisis or the agriculturist. But yes, the Congress, the NCP, Sharad Pawar, and we have been time and again talking with the government. We have raised our concern. Ajit Pawar, yes, he has a lot of background in agriculture. He is one person who we thought he will, do some justice after he joined the government. But unfortunately, the government is driven by a political agenda. It is not driven by a welfare agenda. There are issues of drought, there are issues of excessive rains, payments were not made, and it's still balanced. I mean, this government, so one point agenda the government has was to just come back in power, hook or by crook. So that is how whatever manifestos they've been making, whatever things
let me get Tuhin Sinha of the BJP to respond. Tuhin, specifically on the plight of farmers, for example, in Vidarbha and Marathwada, do you believe that the BJP or the Mahayuti has a genuine solution?
One of the schemes, irrigation schemes, Jal Yukt Shivir, which we had organized, which we had initiated in the first term of Devendra Fadnavis ji, that was a game changer in terms of ensuring water in the fields throughout the year. But that was derailed by this government of the Agadi government. So, it's too rich of them to say that we don't think about farmer issues. Almost all of our schemes, that includes that of the central government. When you talk about Nal Se Jal program, when you talk about Swachh Bharat, obviously the agrarian, the rural people have been the beneficiaries. But yes, in the Vidarbha region, the issues are peculiar. It needs a localized approach, which we have provided again. The fact is, people know today that if you bring an Aghadi government, it will wreak financial anarchy upon the state. There are so many instances from so many different states that people are extremely skeptical of even listening or of even giving a fair chance to the Aghadi. And I was hearing Sanjay ji, when Sanjay ji says that you have a small edge, it means a comfortable edge. So the difference, mind you, this time in both the states has been fairly significant, and that will be reflected on the result day on 23rd.
You're putting words in Sanjay's mouth. Sanjay, small edge,
I want to add in here.
No, I did say, I don't think Tuhinji is making wrong statement about what I said. I did say that NDA has an edge, small edge, both in Maharashtra and in Jharkhand as well. And I put this small, if I put it in numbers, I think the range is 3 to 4% vote share. But then anything between 2 to 4% vote share in favor of the NDA alliance, the Mahayuti alliance in Maharashtra and the NDA alliance in Jharkhand. That's my estimate at this moment.
Nijab, I want to focus a little bit more on the agricultural issue because it's so critical. A perennial issue is that of farmer suicides. Elections come around, there are SOPs which are given to farmers, and this is forgotten completely. Farmer suicide in Maharashtra is an epidemic almost. It's a tragic situation which has been going on for more than a decade. Do you believe that this is a key issue in these elections?
Absolutely, it was a key issue. You rightly said soya bean.
And cotton, yeah.
And cotton, and also onion prices in Nasik, export duty that they reacted to, which they corrected. But it was too late in the day. And I think for a state which gives the largest tax revenue, for a state which contributes the highest amount to the GDP and the national economy, a state which is the hub of, which is an industrial center, hub of finance, for it to have, the other side of the story is the farmers, continuing farmers' suicide and this economic distress. And if this does not have a bearing on the election outcome, then we got to think again about, what we are about.
Mahesh Tapase, who is your chief ministerial candidate?
Wait till 23rd, we'll announce that.
It's actually... Don't you think you went into these elections as with that being a really big disadvantage in a country where people vote very often in the name of the leader?
If you see our sabhas, nobody even questioned us who is going to be a chief minister candidate.
I don't believe that. Come on now. Surely that would be a question.
Who have been questioning me, Mahesh, tell us who is your spokesman, who's your chief minister? I mean, let me tell my friends of the BJP and of the other opposition parties of the NDA that we will announce. Let us get the comfortable majority. 23rd is not far. It's just 2 days in time.
Sanjay,
so like how we had Uddhav Thackeray ji as a chief minister phase, suddenly you'll see something might just crop up, you never know what will happen in politics. But never mind, I just wanted to inform my friend Tuhin Sinha, as far as the Jal Yukt Shivar scheme was concerned, the Comptroller and Auditor General, he drew a lot of objections to the scheme. You have to understand, this is at the fag end of Devendra Fadnavis's tenure as Chief Minister. So you can't say that it benefited the state at large. There was large-scale fiscal mismanagement amounting to corruption. The proposed activity as far as water retention and water irrigation, whatever was proposed was not achieved. These are the findings of the government agency. We as an opposition party did, of course, spoke about the same at length.
Okay. Sanjay, Western Maharashtra has been an NCP stronghold. Vidarbha, Marathwada, they've shown discontent with this government. What are, just for a larger audience, the regional contours that will define the outcome of these polls?
See, we have been talking about what has been the issue. If we even think of looking for an issue which was sweeping across the Maharashtra, we will fail to do that because there is no single issue which was sweeping across Maharashtra. There are regions where you would find farmers' issue as an issue, as a big issue among the farmers of Maharashtra. In some urban pockets, especially in Mumbai, this whole issue of the industries which should have been set up in Mumbai has been shifted to Gujarat. So it also has resonance among small sections of people, especially the urban middle class in Mumbai and around those regions. Price rise, unemployment is a big concern. I'm not sure whether these are the issues on which people have voted in this election, but these are the big concerns shown by people of Maharashtra, and these could be the price rise and unemployment, especially price rise. This seems to be a much bigger issue in Maharashtra compared to unemployment. And you would find a different trend if you look at other states, whether it was Haryana or some other state. These are the two issues about which you will find people talking about across Maharashtra, but also in sections of voter, you will also find attraction about this whole issue of Hindu needs to be united, butting it or cutting it. So different issues having resonance among different sections of people in different regions.
Tuhin, has there been any effort to balance the narrative of Marathi pride with inclusive development that's so needed in a diverse state like Maharashtra?
Well, I would say there has been a brilliant cohesion of Ek Hai to Safe Hai with all the social welfare schemes which have been executed in the last 4 months. In fact, in the last 4 months, 96,000 crores worth of schemes have been executed. And the beauty is that, unlike a Congress state government which would have gone bankrupt, Maharashtra continues to do well on almost all parameters. It continues to be the #1 state when it comes to FDIs. In fact, the first FY25 FDI was 53% of the entire India's FDI, 70,000 crores. So I think, it's a cohesion between our ideological commitment to the Hindu community mixed with the deft execution of social welfare schemes on the ground.
Would you like to comment on that point? Marathi pride, was it a factor in these elections?
Yes, I think after Haryana, what we have seen, Haryana, we all know, like at least we made the assessment after the election that it was a consolidation of certain caste against the dominant caste.
Yeah.
So here also what the BJP was trying, of course we know this was the first assembly election after this disarray happened with this one party going, to another party going, whatever the combinations and realignments have happened. So there's parties like, with the BJP, they knew that there was an issue with their support base in Marathwada. So they have tried to consolidate the other caste groups and other communities, while trying to kind of make some impact with this religious agenda and as well as the welfare agenda. The schemes which they have announced, it has, of course, in the lower strata people, it had gained a lot of traction. The people have come out and spoken about it. But, if you ask any educated states like Maharashtra, there are a lot of, areas like that where the women were not happy with the freebies or like the cash dollouts. Instead, they wanted employment. So in employment and Sanjay just said, the price rise, it was an issue. Even in Jharkhand, I have heard women talking about those issues. The youngsters talked about that issue. But again, we have seen in the past also in Uttar Pradesh also, the youngsters were talking, even the BJP supporters were talking, whether this is getting reflected in the voting pattern, whether they are just going with the welfare schemes and their the identity as a communal, the community identity. That is something that we have been seeing, that this is what is happening at the end of the day when the election happen, when they go to polling booth, the idea which is actually guiding them, sometimes it differs from what they have been talking. But, increasingly with the price rise, with every woman, from the middle class to like the lower strata people, the poor people who are getting this LPG, the free LPG connection, they are also talking about the prices. And, but that is why the BJP has understood it. That is why they are, offering that they have reached.
Give me a second. I want to go across to Nija. In light of what we've seen in Jammu and Kashmir, and certainly in the case of Haryana, not so much Jammu and Kashmir, but in Haryana where the BJP has done so well, there was a certain narrative which was built after the last elections that, this is a resurgent opposition. They're doing very well. They did quite well in the last elections. But then Haryana came and stopped them, right? So in terms of the battle of narratives, and I don't know how strong a factor that necessarily is, do you believe that the BJP and its allies, the NDA, is on the ascendancy?
Look, if they, and that's why Maharashtra is of utmost importance. You know, it's not just another state that this side or that side will win. For the BJP and the NDA to win Maharashtra state, like Maharashtra, second largest in the state, with, as I said, the financial hub, and coming at the time that the election is, if they win it, it gives them a huge psychological advantage nationally, that the Lok Sabha results were an aberration, a setback. You can forget about it. It's business as usual. Things are going to go the way they were going in the second term of Mr. Modi, and that will be nationally as well as globally. So Maharashtra is of utmost importance. But for the opposition also, suppose if they get the state, that means Haryana you can forget.
Right.
And we are going in that direction.
Just one line to
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, this election was more important to Rahul Gandhi than Prime Minister Modi, because Prime Minister Modi is having his third term, and even the elections we have seen the Prime Minister is traveling outside, unlike in the past we have been focusing on even in state elections. This time I think it is Rahul's rebirth had happened as a leader, and if the Congress and the India alliance is going to kind of lose both state, it will be kind of a stunted growth. Like, you know, he'll have to prove, he'll have to start from the, you know, like square one. That is one issue that I think this election, for the opposition, it was, both the elections were more important to the opposition than to the government, because they already, with the Haryana election, they have proved that we are on the, you know, we are still on the track.
All right. What I'd like to do now is turn our attention for the rest of the program to Jharkhand. It's another fascinating election. We've got Dr. Mahua Maji, the MP, Rajya Sabha MP of the JMM with us. Dr. Maji, thanks very much for being with us. Give me a moment as we go through what the exit polls are saying, and then I'll get your reaction to all of them. So let's pull up what the exit polls are saying in Jharkhand. And it is very, very close indeed. And it really depends on who you believe. So if we take a look at the exit polls, Access My India gives the India Alliance between 49 to 59, the NDA between 17 and 27. Remember, the majority mark is 41. So Access quite clearly gives the India Alliance an edge. If we take a look at the next set of polls, this is Access My India, as I mentioned to you. Dainik Bhaskar 36 to 39, so just short of the magic mark for the India Alliance, but 37 to 40 as far as the NDA. So neck and neck over there, 32 for the NDA Alliance and 42 for the India Alliance as far as electoral edge is concerned. So a big edge over there for the India Alliance. Matriz says 25 to 30 for the India Alliance, and seems to suggest that the NDA will be coming into power. So that's what we see. So, Dr. Mahua Maji, how would you see these exit polls? It is pretty close. You know, some are in your favor, some are not. Are you confident you're going to win on Saturday?
Actually, हमारे सीएम हेमंत सोरेन जी ने अपने फेसबुक अकाउंट से एक्सिस को ही पोस्ट किया है, शेयर किया है, और ट्विटर में भी उन्होंने किया है, और हम लोग एक्सिस के का जो एग्जिट पोल आया है उसी पर भरोसा करते हैं, क्योंकि इसके पहले के भी इनके जो आंकड़े रहे हैं वो ज्यादा विश्वसनीय लगते हैं बाकी के आंकड़े के बनिस्बत, क्योंकि पिछले हरियाणा चुनाव का भी एग्जिट पोल गलत साबित हुआ था कई जगह से, और उसके अलावा लगातार लोकसभा चुनाव में भी आपने देखा जो एग्जिट पोल्स थे मैक्सिमम वो धराशायी हो गए। इसलिए एक्सिस पर ही हम भरोसा करते हैं, और एक्सिस ये कहता है कि जेएमएम को 53 और एनडीए को 26 सीट्स आने वाले हैं झारखंड में, और अदर्स को ओनली 3 सीट्स। तो हमारी तरफ से हम लोग बात करें, और जमीनी हकीकत भी यही है, क्योंकि हमें अंदर की भी सूचनाएं मिलती रहती हैं। जितना काम हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी ने इंडिया गठबंधन की सरकार में किया है, इसके पहले कभी नहीं किया था। झारखंड में भाजपा की सरकार रही है 2000 साल से लेके करीब 17-18 साल तक, उनके कई मुख्यमंत्री रहे हैं, लेकिन झारखंड पिछड़े नीचे से वो पिछड़े राज्यों में दूसरे पायदान पर था। और अभी इतने कम समय में 2019 के बाद जो काम झारखंड में हुआ है कोविड के बावजूद, उससे यहाँ की जनता बहुत खुश है और जो हमें जो सूचना मिल रही है उससे हमें पूरा विश्वास है कि झारखंड में फिर से हमारी इंडिया गठबंधन की सरकार आएगी।
डॉक्टर माजी, हेमंत सोरेन जी का गिरफ्तारी और उसके बाद ट्राइबल वोट्स में एक शायद मोमेंटम बढ़ चुका था। आपके ख्याल से उनका अरेस्ट, उनका गिरफ्तारी और उसका असर ट्राइबल वोट पे आपके पक्ष में काफ़ी वोट्स, काफ़ी सीट्स लाएंगे?
हाँ, देखिए ये तो मुद्दा है ही कि सभी जानते हैं कि ईडी के पास कोई सबूत नहीं था उनके खिलाफ, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस पर चर्चा की और बाद में उनका बेल भी इसी आधार पे हुआ कि ईडी बिना सबूत के उन्हें 5 महीने तक जेल में रखी और लोकसभा चुनाव में जनता से दूर रखी। उसका आक्रोश तो था ही। इसके अलावा मैं बता दूं कि झारखंड में जब भाजपा की सरकार थी 2019 तक, माने 19 से पहले, तो उसमें यहाँ पर लड़कियों की तस्करी, नाबालिग लड़की, आदिवासी लड़कियों की तस्करी चरम सीमा पर थी। पन्नालाल जैसे ऐसे ट्रैफिकर हुए थे जिन्होंने लगभग 15,000 लड़कियों की तस्करी अकेले की थी। यहाँ खूंटी, सिमडेगा, गुमला जैसे रूरल एरिया से लड़कियों को ले जाया जाता था। प्लेसमेंट एजेंसीज थी बहुत सारे और उनको दूसरे राज्यों में ले जाके उनका शोषण होता था। माननीय हेमंत सोरेन जी ने उन लड़कियों को न सिर्फ वापस लाया बल्कि उनके लिए तरह तरह की योजनाएं लॉन्च की। मैया सम्मान योजना, सावित्रीबाई फुले किशोरी समृद्धि योजना, पोटो खेल योजना, फिर ये मुख्यमंत्री रोजगार सृजन योजना, फिर स्किल डेवलपमेंट करा रही है। पलाश ब्रांड नाम देकर उन्हें कुटीर उद्योग से जोड़कर उन्हें ब्रांड नेम देकर उनका मार्केटिंग की व्यवस्था करना, अबुआ आवास योजना और तरह तरह की योजनाओं के माध्यम से उन्हें ग्रास रूट लेवल पर लाभ पहुंचाने का इन्होंने कोशिश किया। यहाँ के झारखंडी युवतियों को, युवकों को विश्व के सबसे महत्वपूर्ण संस्थानों, जिसमें लंदन स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स भी है, वहां पर भेजना, इस तरह का काम करके उन्होंने धरातल पर काम किया है। इसके लिए भी उनको इस बार फिर से मौका मिल रहा है।
डॉक्टर माजी, एक और सवाल आपसे पूछना है। इलेक्शन हो चुका है डॉक्टर माजी, क्या आप कैंपेनिंग शायद अगला इलेक्शन के लिए शुरू कर चुकी है, पर नहीं, मुझे आपको ये पूछना है कि मुझे आपसे ये पूछना है कि इस बार एक इनसाइडर वर्सेस आउटसाइडर डिबेट एक डोमिनेंट थीम था झारखंड में। आप इस इशू को कैसे देखते हैं?
देखिए, ये तो भाजपा का एक जुमला है। आपने शायद घुसपैठ वाली बात कही है कि घुसपैठ का मुद्दा बनाकर बीजेपी के बड़े नेता लोग झारखंड में घूमते रहे। लेकिन मैं एक सवाल पूछती हूँ, अगर चाइना से कोई हमारे किसी भी राज्य में घुसपैठ करता है तो ये किसकी जिम्मेदारी है, केंद्र सरकार की कि राज्य सरकार की? केंद्र सरकार विफल रही है बॉर्डर को बचाने में। दूसरे राज्य से अगर कोई घुसपैठ कर रहा है, ऐसा उनका दावा है, बीजेपी के नेताओं का। और दूसरी बात कि हमारे झारखंड का कोई भी ऐसा बॉर्डर नहीं है जो इंटरनेशनल ये से लगा हुआ है। असम के रास्ते से कोई आ सकता है। इसकी जिम्मेदारी भी असम के मुख्यमंत्री की है, जो कि या केंद्र सरकार की है, जो यहाँ आकर झारखंड में पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं। तीसरी बात ये कि अगर संथाल परगना में भाजपा के बहुत सारे सांसद, विधायक, तमाम लोग हैं, अगर कोई घुसपैठ किया है तो उनकी होम मिनिस्ट्री क्या कर रही है? वो क्यों नहीं उन्हें अरेस्ट करते हैं?
Fair question, Dr. Maji. Why aren't outsiders or infiltrators arrested? Good luck to you, Dr. Maji. We'll know who's winning the elections in the next few days. Thanks very much. Toin, would you like to respond to that? Firstly, on the entire insider-outsider debate and the allegations made by the BJP that there were outside influences, there were infiltrators in Jharkhand. Why do you believe that that would be a dominant theme in Jharkhand?
Well, Dr. Maji would be living in abject denial if she thinks that this is not an issue, because I have spent nearly 9 to 10 days in Jharkhand in the last 1 month in 2 installments, and I can tell you that the entire issue of illegal migration is not confined to Santhal Parganas. It is echoing in parts of Ranchi, it is echoing in even the Kolhan region. Now, the point is, yes, illegal migration has been a problem in the country from the time we became independent. In fact, there is evidence of Dr. Gopinath Bordoloi, the first CM of Assam, having written to Nehru way back 75 years ago. But the point is, there are 2 state governments, TMC and JMM, which have shown unnatural alacrity, unnatural haste in naturalizing these citizens by doling out Aadhaar cards, by doling out voter IDs. That's a fact. And in the Santhal Parganas area, if you travel on the ground, not only that, they have also encouraged the illegal migrants to marry, tribals, and by default, by proxy, control certain sarpanches and certain villages in that region. So this is a big issue, no doubt. And in fact, this is going to be the deciding factor in Santhal, a traditional stronghold of the Jharkhand party. You will be surprised if to see BJP winning 8 to 9 out of the 14 seats in the Santhal region itself.
All right. Sanjay, how will the political landscape in Jharkhand be affected by the rise of leaders like Kalpana Soren? She's become a fairly dominant leader. Jairam Mahato. What specific voter groups are they potentially mobilizing?
Now, at this moment, Vishnu, I can only imagine that the leaders like Kalpana Soren would have mobilized the women voters in their favor. At least women voters would have got attracted towards them. Finally, when the results come, when we know what is the verdict, we would be able to do a much deeper analysis of that. But yes, two things. One, the women voter would have got more enthusiastic about elections, about politics. They would have taken more part in the election. Plus the youth, because these are relatively younger people in politics compared to the senior generation. So I think these are the two things which I would see as a new element in Jharkhand politics. As of now, these are the two visible things which I can see happening in the Jharkhand politics.
Liz, would you like to come in on, the numbers which have seen a very high voter turnout for women? There is massive enthusiasm among women in Jharkhand particularly. This is good news at so many levels, right? It's not just democratic inclusion or political inclusion, but it's also wanting to be included in the process of development of the state for their own community, for their own homes. But in terms of seats and vote share, how could this be perhaps the decider?
See, I think around 30% or 31 constituencies, women voters are ahead in terms of voter number in Jharkhand, if I remember correctly. And the BJP had a special plan to focus on women. And also we have seen, how the parties have fought with each other for, announcing these packages and the money, like, just 200 rupees more than the other party. So that they also have seen that. But I mean, like, another factor which I have seen, among the urban population, there was this some kind of inclination for BJP, especially because Prime Minister Modi is still popular among the women there. But among the tribal women, it was not as much like the other sections of the society. Another factor which I have seen this time, which I have seen a kind of the similar pattern in Madhya Pradesh also. The women, even I think tribal women were more empowered in their houses than other communities. The women do tell us, like even the women who are standing, at the roadside to get picked up for the labor, there are labor chowks, in Ranchi also. Right. Even those women, when I ask them, like, will you vote on your own or will you obey, will you go what your family say? Immediate reaction was, no, why should we? Sure. We will be. So that element, that independence and the freedom to choose, that thing has come to. So I think to an extent, both Hemant Soren's party, JMM, and the BJP have kind of recognized it. And that is one reason that they have focused, both have focused. And I think if the Kolan region extensively travels, so there also, the women voter will be the deciding factor.
Nijat, the Congress's role in the alliance, a weaker partner over here, does that make the India alliance substantially weaker going into these polls?
I think so. And their own allies have privately complained about this. The JMM was very unhappy. They gave them 30 seats, 41 to JMM, 30 to the Congress, and the rest between RJD and CPIML. And they felt the Congress had not put its best foot forward given the number of seats it had been given. And that Rahul Gandhi's rallies and other leaders' rallies could have been many, many more. And given the favorable, there is a sympathy for Hemant Soren. The BJP did poorly in the tribal belt in the Lok Sabha election. There was much to build on, even though there was anti-incumbency and corruption charges, etc. So I think that's a correct, assessment that the Congress could have done much, much better in terms of campaigning.
Right. We've heard that quite frequently.
They released the manifesto just
Whether it's
24 hours.
Jammu and Kashmir or certainly Haryana and Jharkhand as well. Look, we'll leave it over there. I'd like to thank you very much for being with us. These election results come up just a couple of days from now on Saturday. And in our super fast election system, we'll be talking to Sanjay and figuring out whether that edge that he's talking about, whether he's right or he's wrong. He usually tends to be right. But we'll leave it for the moment. I'd like to thank you all very much and good luck to him with these elections. We'll take a short break. Coming up after that, one story which I felt which has nothing to do at all with these elections, but one which people around the world are really watching. Rafael Nadal's last match. We've got a special story that's coming up right after this.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
हम ये चुनाव विकास के मुद्दे पर लड़ रहे हैं.
Let them come for an open debate with me. I've challenged Eknath Shinde multiple times.
Congress is in the worst situation in this state.
महायुति में भी इससे ज़्यादा डिस्प्यूट है.
Everything is fair in love and politics.
वोट देने वाले ही जिताने वाले हैं ना.
So we worked on 4 options.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts.
अजेंडा फक्त करप्शन फर्स्ट, आमचा अजेंडा आहे नेशन फर्स्ट.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत. पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
The last elections of 2024, it's the battle for India's economic heart. An election that will decide Maharashtra's future.
Can the big brother BJP manage the competing ambitions of Mahayuti? Can the Red Book rally the voters once again for Congress and its allies? So as Maharashtra's future trajectory takes shape, we report from the ground.
Two visions, two ideology, one verdict. An election where no caste chemistry can yield a perfect formula.
It's a state that is splintered with power battles. The big question, will Maharashtra poll outcome unify parties or divide them further? And who will emerge as Maharashtra's undisputed leader?
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years.
So as Maharashtra's future trajectory takes shape, we report from the ground.
Two visions, two ideology, one verdict. An election where no caste chemistry can yield a perfect formula.
It's a state that is splintered with power battles. The big question, will Maharashtra poll outcome unify parties or divide them further? And who will emerge as Maharashtra's undisputed leader?
The last elections of 2024, it's the battle for India's economic heart. An election that will decide Maharashtra's future.
Can the big brother BJP manage the competing ambitions of Mahayuti? Can the Red Book rally the voters once again for Congress and its allies? So as Maharashtra's future trajectory takes shape, we report from the ground.
Two visions, two ideology, one verdict. An election where no caste chemistry can yield a perfect formula.
It's a state that is splintered with power battles. The big question, will Maharashtra poll outcome unify parties or divide them further? And who will emerge as Maharashtra's undisputed leader?
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020. And we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the
The battle for Maharashtra and Jharkhand finally ends. Both the states now await for the results. 58.4% turnout recorded in Maharashtra, while 67.8% recorded in Jharkhand. Mumbai records a 49.80% voter turnout, a better turnout than the previous elections. Most exit polls predict a Mahayuti alliance victory in Maharashtra, while it's a split verdict as far as Jharkhand goes. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh meets his Chinese counterpart in Laos. Rajnath Singh tells China to reflect on the lessons learned. In Tamil Nadu's Krishnagiri district, a lawyer was hacked by a man with a sickle in the middle of the road, with hundreds watching him slash his head with the weapon. The victim was rushed to hospital. And it's an end of an era for Rafael Nadal as he bids goodbye to tennis. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. It has been a stellar end to the Battle of Maharashtra. Voting ended for the state on Wednesday. The exit polls are out now, and the state where complication was a given in the assembly election has left pollsters befuddled, with 3 out of 9 predicting a hung house, 4 leaning towards the ruling alliance and 2 hedging their bets. In the other state, Jharkhand, where most expected a clear outcome, did not offer much clarity, with poll analysts being divided sharply down the middle. There are three are of the opinion that the ruling alliance will retain the state. 3 others equally convinced that the NDA will wrest the state from the India bloc. In fact, what does this actually mean? My colleague Mario Shakil breaks it down for us.
Most of the exit polls are predicting a Mahayuti victory in Maharashtra. There are a number of them which are saying that it could be a hung house as well. There is one exit poll which is suggesting that it could be a Mahavikas Aghadi government on 23rd. Looking at the big picture in Jharkhand, it's a mixed bag again there, but advantage NDA is what exit polls are suggesting. NDTV hasn't done any exit poll of its own. And no poll of polls that we have done either, because the credibility of these exit polls, we really do not want to send that message that it is ours. But having said that, if these numbers actually yield, then the Mahayuti or the NDA, I should say, the BJP plus could end this year on a very, very positive note. It could be a great year end with the return of the Modi government in the month of May, June in the Lok Sabha. And now if they actually translate, if these exit polls predictions translate into actual results, then it could very well mean that the big crown, the economic heart of India, the wealthiest state of India, could be heading for governance by the BJP and its alliance partners. All eyes, of course, will be on 23rd when the real results come out. For the moment, though, the Mahavikas Aghadi also striking a confident note. I did speak to Tole, who is the Congress in charge of Maharashtra. His view was that MVA is going to win the state and they will be having a swearing-in ceremony on 25th. So that's a lot of confidence talk that is happening on the other side. If the BJP actually manages to form the government in the state of Jharkhand, it would mean that all that reach out which has happened by the BJP and Prime Minister in particular with regards to the tribal votes has yielded political dividends. But overall, if it turns out to be good news for the BJP, then it would be seen that the Lok Sabha results, which gave some kind of momentum to India bloc, that would take a hit, and the and the results would be seen as an aberration. The Lok Sabha results will be seen as an aberration. Haryana, again, which set the tone in favor of the BJP, that political discourse only going ahead if these numbers actually translate into actual results. And it would be certainly good news for Eknath Shinde, who is seen as a popular man on ground, who would have managed to settle this legacy debate in the Shiv Sena versus Sena battle in Maharashtra.
Meanwhile, as the curtain falls, NDTV caught up with all the heavyweights who are in the fray in Maharashtra. Listen in to what they have to say.
Nana Patole, thank you so much. Exit polls do not have good news for you, sir. Exit polls के नंबर आप जो देख रहे होंगे, उनके आंकड़े ये बता रहे हैं कि महायुति की क्लियर विक्ट्री हो सकती है. आप इन नंबर्स को कैसे देखते हैं?
रियलिटी जो है 170 के ऊपर महाविकास आघाड़ी की सीटें आएंगी महाराष्ट्र में, और महाविकास आघाड़ी की ही सरकार महाराष्ट्र में बनेगी.
नहीं, लेकिन चुनाव में आपने क्या देखा जो एग्जिट पोलस्टर्स जो सर्वे करने के लिए गए थे जमीन पर, उन्होंने नहीं देखा?
देखो, एकदम क्लियर है ग्रास रूट का. अभी आपको याद होगा क्या, अभी हमारी सब टीम हर महाराष्ट्र में हर कोने में लगी हुई है. जहां जहां वोटिंग हुआ है, कौन सा कितना वोटिंग हुआ, कौन से गांव में, कौन से बूथ में हमें कितना लीड मिलेगा, कम मिलेगा, उसका रिपोर्ट हमारे पास पूरे स्टेट से आ गया है. तो उसी आधार पर हम लोग कह रहे हैं. अभी चैनलों में वो दिखाया जा रहा है तो उसको दिखाने दो. जैसे हरियाणा में हमारा दिखाया था, हम हार गए. अभी वो आगे दिखा रहे हैं तो महाराष्ट्र में हम जीते.
ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा असेसमेंट है आपका कि एग्जिट पोलस्टर्स ने दिखाया था कि हरियाणा में आप जीत रहे हैं तो भाजपा जीत गई, तो अगर वो दिखा रहे हैं तो ऑपोजिट होगा. ये तो आपको होप देने की वजह है, सही बोला आपने. लेकिन इस बार कांग्रेस सबसे कम सीटों पर चुनाव लड़ रही है अपने पूरी हिस्ट्री में महाराष्ट्र की उसमें. लेकिन आप बताएं कि विदर्भा की अगर चर्चा करते हैं तो विदर्भ में 40 सीटों पर कांग्रेस चुनाव में है और ज्यादातर सीटों में डायरेक्ट टक्कर है, सीधी टक्कर है भाजपा के साथ.
कम से कम 45 से 50 सीटें हम विदर्भ में जीतेंगे 62 में से. और एकदम क्लियर पिक्चर है विदर्भ में क्लीन स्वीप करेंगी महाविकास आघाड़ी. कांग्रेस 40 जगह लड़ रही है विदर्भ में, 35 सीटें हम लोग जीतेंगे.
23 तारीख को अगर आपकी सरकार बनती है तो मुख्यमंत्री कौन होगा?
महाविकास आघाड़ी का चीफ मिनिस्टर बनेगा, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. हाईकमांड जो डिसीजन लेंगे वो सबको एक्सेप्ट रहेगा. और महाविकास आघाड़ी का 23 तारीख को 25 तारीख को महाविकास आघाड़ी का सीएम बन जाए.
आपने 25 तारीख की बात कही, तो 25 तारीख को स्वेरिंग इन होगा?
बिल्कुल हम करेंगे, क्योंकि 26 को इस गवर्नमेंट की जो गवर्नमेंट है इनका लास्ट डेट है. और हम 2 दिन में ये सब कर लेंगे इसको, क्योंकि उनके मन में पाप है. जो चुनाव की प्रक्रिया जिस तरह से रखी गई थी और जिस तरह से ये चुनाव लेट किया गया और एकदम उसको बॉर्डर पे लाके खड़ा किया है, तो दिल्ली में बैठी हुई मोदी की सरकार के दिमाग में क्या पाप चल रहा है वो महाराष्ट्र के हम लोगों को पता है. तो हम 25 को हम लोग गवर्नमेंट बना लें.
मिलिंद